Good morning. Welcome to the Treasure Coast Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Stuart, Florida. Today is December 4th, 2022. My name is Deb Harris, and I'll be your worship associate today. We are a welcoming congregation. We welcome people of all gender identities, ethnicities, ages, and backgrounds. It's wonderful to see all our vaccinated members in the sanctuary, and we're on YouTube also, so we welcome anyone who's joining us via YouTube. To be put on our mailing list, or to find out any more about us, just go to tcuuc.org. And there is a place there to sign up for the newsletter. And now we will ask if everyone would silence their cell phones. Do we have any visitors this morning? I'd like to welcome you. And if you're comfortable, come up to the mic and introduce yourself. And
blizzard. My wife and I started to come here about 7 years ago. She died in April 2021, so now I'm trying to forge a new life on my own. Glad to be here.
We're glad you're here. Welcome. All right, well, I have a few announcements. You can join us on the first and third Tuesdays at Stuart Veterans Memorial Park downtown at noon for our brown bag lunch. The weather has gotten really nice, so it's very pleasant there. Also, so you can be planning ahead for your Christmas time, there will be a Christmas Eve service at 5 p.m., followed by cookies. So you can come for the songs or come for the cookies. And also a Christmas Day service on Sunday at 11. We'd like to thank all of those who helped with today's service. Jackie Robbins, always, for her beautiful music. And Judy Bajoris for helping out with the music. Our tech wizard, Chris McGann. Joanne Leone and Marguerite Gregory for coffee and cookies after the service. We especially want to thank Dr. William Falk, who you all know as Bill, our president, who's going to be in the pulpit today. We know him as Bill and our president, but he has an amazing background, so I'd like to just do a short introduction so we know all of his accomplishments, or some of his accomplishments. After serving for 3 years in the U.S. Army Security Agency, an offshoot of NSA, Bill attended North Texas State. He then worked as an urban planner for the city of Dallas, then went back and got his PhD in sociology from Texas A&M. He joined the faculty at LSU, and then was recruited to go to the University of Maryland and was a professor and chair there for over 20 years. He has been writing and teaching about the American South and many books and articles on school desegregation, industrialization, historically black counties, Southern culture, and return migration of African Americans to the South. He says he and his long-suffering wife, Geraldine, have been married for 57 years. It's a wonderful accomplishment. And they have been, they've been UUs since 1976. And we are very, very glad to have him speaking today and also as our president. All right. Now let us enjoy our morning prelude. Thank you. Our chalice lighting words this morning are from Charles Howe. We light this chalice to affirm that new light is ever waiting to break through to enlighten our ways, that new truth is ever waiting to break through to illuminate our minds, and that new love is ever waiting to break through to warm our hearts. May we be open to this light and the rich possibilities it brings us. I think most of you know that I've been a teacher. I've actually been a teacher for over 40 years now in 4 states at all different grade levels. So the recent news about what's happening in and to teachers and students in the schools here in Florida has me very concerned. Talking with an acquaintance recently, I was surprised to find out she thought some of these things were good, the censorship and the actions taken against teachers. And when I challenged her, she said, well, we're all entitled to our own beliefs. That got me thinking more about the beliefs we hold on to and those we reject. According to the 4th UU principle, we as UUs are to affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. At the back of our hymnal, in the section labeled Integrity, there's some powerful words on beliefs and why they matter, and I thought it would be nice for us to share those today. I invite you to join me in a responsive reading. It's number 657. In the back of the hymnal, 657, it matters what we believe. Some beliefs are like walled gardens. They encourage exclusiveness and the feeling of being especially privileged. You can join in. Other beliefs are expansive and lead the way into wider and deeper sympathies. Some beliefs are like shadows, clouding children's days with fears of unknown calamities. Other beliefs are like sunshine, blessing children with the warmth of happiness. Some beliefs are divisive, separating the saved from the unsaved, friends from enemies. Other beliefs are bonds in a world community where sincere differences beautify the pattern. Some beliefs are like blinders, shutting off the power to choose one's own direction. Other beliefs are like gateways, opening wide vistas for exploration. Some beliefs weaken a person's selfhood. They blight the growth of resourcefulness. Other beliefs nurture self-confidence and enrich the feeling of personal worth. Some beliefs are rigid, like the body of death, impotent in a changing world. Other beliefs are pliable, like lungs ever growing with the up. So beliefs matter. And now we'll do our first hymn. You can stand if you're comfortable and sing a hymn through your mask or not. It's number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. That's what's called a never-ending hymn, but hopefully our joy will be too. Now let us recite our affirmation, speaking the first verse and singing the second. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Let us now share our joys and sorrows. If you would like, please step up to the microphone to speak. Tell us your name first, and then tell us your joy or sorrow, and move a stone in our symbolic river of life. Anyone?
I'm Fred, and I have a joy that we're going to have our next adventure club on Thursday, December 15th. It's going to be a full day. We're going to 3 different venues, and the sign-up sheet is out in the narthex. Please sign up and join Ronnie and I. Thank you.
Thank you.
That sounded like suspiciously like an announcement disguised as a joy. My joy was that I could entertain my family, extended family, including my sister and brother-in-law and their son from England for Thanksgiving. I didn't think I could do it, being that Maggie used to be the primary organizer and head cook and bottle washer. Maybe I washed the bottles. But it worked out great. They all pitched in. The only negative is I'm still eating Thanksgiving dinner.
Thank you. Ann, or you can move a stone, or Ann will.
Where does it go?
Just one, pick one and put it right there. Thank you.
Well, you've already heard me introduce, so I'm not going to say who I am. My joy is I'm very glad to see David back here with us. It's nice to see you. And I'm sorry about the passing of your wife.
My name is Ann Nozawa, and it seems to me each time I've gotten up to a microphone for Joys and Sorrows, I start out by saying this is the mixture of joy and sorrow, and today is no different. It's a mixture of joy and sorrow. The sorrow is that there is an error in the current bulletin in that my name is listed as having a birthday on December 17th. I'm sorry about that because that's incorrect. And Mrs. that I usually have the same birthday as Jerry Rader, and that's kind of fun. So my birthday is in a few days, and it's number 93, and thank you for the good wishes that I hope will come.
I'm Fred again, and this time I do have an actual joy, and that's to welcome back Mr. Nozawa, Dr. Nozawa, Yashi, because he's been ill and hasn't come for a while, so it's great to see you back here.
It'll be simple. No, it's not an announcement. My joy is that I know how to move a microphone so it doesn't feed back. So don't let it point to the speakers, please. Just so we have less accessory noise. Thank you. I'm joyful that I know the difference between noise and reality.
And now for those whose joys or sorrows are too private to share, know that our hearts are with you, and Anne is moving a stone for you. The pastoral reading today is number 560, called Commitment by Dorothy Day. People say, "What is the sense of our small effort?" They cannot see that we must lay one brick at a time, take one step at a time. A pebble cast into a pond causes ripples that spread in all directions. Each one of our thoughts, words, and deeds is like that. No one has the right to sit down and feel hopeless. There's too much work to do. And in keeping with that thought and the Christmas spirit, when there's lots of giving and sharing and helping, I thought you might find this video inspirational.
so much pain, and though I can't fly, I can do my little part here before I die. Yeah, brother, I may not win the Nobel Prize, but at least I can try to be a little more kind, spend a little more time in my change run life. Yeah, like giving a hug when somebody is down, feeding a soul when there's nobody around. Small things that can change the sound and the vibe of the spirit that can change a town. Started small, now it's touched a crowd. The crowd is growing, now the word is out. And if we all do our parts, we can touch the clouds. Without a cape and a mask, we can touch the clouds. Yep. We don't have to leap tall buildings in a single bound. There's a lot of good that we can do standing on the ground. We don't need a jetpack suit to take us to the cloud. It's up to me and you, right here, right now. Superhero, na 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 na. Superhero, oh 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 oh. Superhero, na 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 na. Superhero, oh oh oh. Yeah, it's the smallest things that make a difference. And all the power's locked within us. All we gotta do is find the key and turn the latch and set it free. Yeah, we don't need to be fast and strong, cause a kind word can go a long way. Help someone whose faith is gone to get back up and carry on. Maybe it's too hard to understand, think it's too much for us to handle, but I promise you that you can, cause you don't need to be a Superman. Right here and now, you are a superhero. We don't have to leap tall buildings in a single bound. There's a lot of good that we can do standing on the ground. We don't need a jetpack suit to take us to the cloud. It's up to me and you, right here, right now. Giving a hug when somebody is down, feeding the soul when there's nobody around. Small things that can change the sound and the vibe of the spirit that can change a town. Started small, then we touched the crowd. The crowd is growing, now the word is out that if we all do our parts, we can touch the clouds. Without a cape and a mask, we can touch the clouds. Yeah.
And now we'll take a few moments for silent meditation. And now we'll do Spirit of Life, humming the first round and singing the second.
We come now to the point in our service where we do the offertory, and I believe Fred and I'm not sure who else we're going to help. David, thank you. Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. Thank you. Thank you for your contributions, whether large or small. Oh, and before I start, I want to say one other thing. I did Joys and Sorrows and mentioned David. And Roger Head, a longtime member of this church, I'm glad to see you here this morning as well. 'Twas the night before Christmas, Florida style. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the town, no noses were frozen, no snow fluttered down, no children in flannels tucked into bed. They all wore shorty pajamas instead. To find wreaths of holly was not very hard, for holly wreaths grew in every backyard. In front of the houses were daddies and moms adorning poinsettias and coconut palms. The slumbering kiddies were dreaming with glee that they would find skateboards under the tree. They all knew that Santa was well on his way in a green Ford Mustang instead of a sleigh. He whizzed down the highway and zoomed up the roads in a snappy convertible, peddling his loads. As he jumped from the car, he gave a deep chuckle. He was dressed in Bermudas with an Ivy League buckle. There weren't any chimneys, but that caused no gloom, for Santa came in through the Florida room. He stopped at each house and stayed only a minute as he emptied his bag of the toys that were in it. Before he departed, he treated himself to a glass full of orange juice left on the shelf. He leaped in the car and put it in gear and drove over bridges, singing with cheer. Then we heard him exclaim as he went on his way, "Merry Christmas, South Florida. I wish I could stay." This rewrite of the famous Night Before Christmas rhyme is my introduction to what I want to talk about today. Did someone take Christ out of Christmas? The rhyme references children excited in anticipation of what is to come, a Christmas tree, toys, and a general sense of merriment. To quote from a famous Christmas song, "It's the holiday season, lots of toys for good girls and boys." Ah, yes. We are entering that joyful time of year when gift giving and depression both get highlighted. I thought of the emphasis one usually finds at this time of year on family, celebration, gift giving, eating, and community, but also seeing car magnets and yard signs saying, "Keep Christ in Christmas." These fairly recent public, is that a problem?
Yes. Turn on off switch?
No, there's no off.
Well, just make sure it's not pointing to a speaker. I don't think there's a mute switch on there.
I was speaking in Spanish up till then. Did everybody hear me? Okay. I know you did. Okay, we're ending that joyful time of year. I'm going to start there. When giving, and depression both get highlighted. I thought of the emphasis one usually finds on family, celebration, gift giving, eating, community, but I'm also seeing car magnets and signs that say, "Keep Christ in Christmas." These fairly recent proclamations have a long history, but again in more recent years, have become part of a larger campaign, the war on Christmas. Knowing this, I begin to wonder to what degree and in what ways someone took Christ out of Christmas. And that is what I want to talk about this morning. I will not try to enlist any of you in the Christian army called for in that famous hymn, "Onward Christian Soldiers," with its line about marching as to war. So no need to get ready for battle. At least I hope not. But I will try to provide a little history on this war. Better? No? I hope. I'll try to provide a little history on the war, including the roles played by Unitarians, people suited up for battle long ago. One other thing you should know, as I prepared for today's talk, I Googled up a storm looking for helpful information. If you wonder how much interest there might be in my topic, well, as it turns out, a lot. If you type in the war on Christmas, you get over 20 million results. Type in Christ in Christmas, you get nearly 18 million results. You also discover how even high moral purpose is caught up in capitalism and commercialized. If you were wondering about some Christmas gifts yet, you can buy Keep Christ in Christmas posters, refrigerator magnets, yard signs, bumper stickers, car magnets, cards, t-shirts. This stuff wouldn't get produced if there wasn't interest in it. And as I say, a lot of interest. So now to the main story, the wars on Christmas. This is kind of a brief history. There have been lots of skirmishes in the war on Christmas, including ones long ago. In England, the Puritan government of Oliver Cromwell banned Christmas celebrations. In Massachusetts, also at the time under Puritan rule, Christmas was banned from 1659 to 1681. And even with King James' intervention, Christmas did not become popular until the 1850s. George Washington and his troops crossed the Delaware on December 25th, so not much celebrating on that day. And after the Revolutionary War, Christmas was not celebrated because it was too British. Maybe that's been the problem in my house with a British wife. Even today, some Christian fundamentalists condemn Christmas as a holiday with pagan origins based on the winter solstice. Although many contemporary commentators state that the war on Christmas started with Bill O'Reilly, to the degree that there has ever been such a war, the contemporary war started long before the advent of O'Reilly and Fox News. In the 1920s, Henry Ford felt that a war was being waged by Jews, asking in a speech how, in quotes, 10 Jewish students can abolish the mention of Christmas and Easter out of schools containing 3,000 Christian pupils. Or more broadly, he said, how can 3 million Jews control the affairs of 100 million Americans? Again, this was Henry Ford writing nearly 100 years ago. In 1959, the John Birch Society published a pamphlet alerting the nation to an, in quotes, assault on Christmas. Who was carrying out the assault? The United Nations. I'm not kidding. The Birch argument was that the UN was calling for U.S. department stores to use UN symbols and emblems as Christmas decorations. Bill O'Reilly, in his book, Culture Warrior, is almost always cited as the historical marker for the war in recent years. His book included a chapter titled The Battle for Christmas. There he documents many instances of school districts and city councils yielding to pressure from aggrieved parents, often represented by attorneys, demanding that any holiday symbols and or celebrations be essentially de-Christianized. In turn, retail stores, fearing similar legal problems, fell in line with Target, Walmart, and Kohl's as prominent examples. O'Reilly himself becomes a self-described martyr in this battle with the loathed by Fox viewers, New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times, and other large metropolitan dailies chastising him. But with his large audience, O'Reilly had many supporters. He writes that while many mainstream journalists and writers loathe him, I love this line, he loathes them right back. His successors at Fox News all follow in the same vein. Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, all members of the Fox choir. As an aside, on one of her recent shows, Laura Ingraham accused President Biden of being too Christmassy. I'm sure that having a real Christian in the White House makes Christmas criticism a bit difficult. Now back to the main focus. While O'Reilly's book was published in 2005, the war rages on. It has definitely become an annual thing with considerable attention each holiday season. Christmas season, for the past decade. A couple of years ago, for example, an article in the Jackson, Mississippi newspaper ran a piece with this heading, "The War on Christmas has begun." This seems to have become as predictable as Christmas decorations in retail stores, along with Christmas music, movies, parades, trees, and eggnog. Like it or not, Santa Claus is coming to town. Oh, and one other factoid from the War on Christmas. Santa Claus is white. Jesus, too. At least that's what former Fox News correspondent, or anchor, I should say, Megyn Kelly said in one of her commentaries, responding to an article published in Slate magazine. She tried to retract the statement, saying it was said in jest, but by then the idea of dreaming about a, in quotes, white Christmas was already out there. What is crucial to know from all of this, if you didn't already, is that there are a lot of Americans, millions, who feel that their religion is to some degree under attack. Gay marriage, women's rights, Black Lives Matter, critical race theory, these are all issues which for some challenge the views they hold near and dear. Donald Trump seems to have understood this better than many of us and mobilized these people into a more general war on the mainstream media, Washington elites, and the political class. I'm not saying I think he's entirely correct, but rather summarizing how some folks see themselves as victimized and our country as on the wrong track. This was true in 2016, and one gets the impression it's still true today, given the results of the 2020 presidential election and what we might call a war on elections. While Trump lost, 74 million of our fellow citizens voted for him. With Trump and most of his supporters, one gets a strong sense of it's us versus them. UUs, on the other hand, consider themselves to be nearly heroic in their commitment to the dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, peace, liberty, and justice for all, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. I'm going to read this one more time. UUs, on the other hand, consider themselves to be nearly heroic in their commitment to the dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, peace, liberty, and justice for all, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. This should sound very familiar. I drew it directly from the UU 7 principles, which form the theological heart of our faith. I will bookend this by also drawing from UU's living tradition, wherein we are challenged to seek knowledge and understanding from Jewish and Christian teachings, humanist teachings, and spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions, along with words and deeds of prophetic women and men. In sum, a great breadth of inspiration with no one tradition or paradigm necessarily holding sway over any other. Or phrased a bit differently, liberal religion. We are a welcoming congregation as an ideal, even if we fall short sometimes. So where does this place us in the war on Christmas? Here is what conservative writer and former Fox News contributor John Gibson has to say in his book, The War on Christmas. And I'm quoting, "The large number of foot soldiers waging the war on Christmas is in fact made up mostly of liberal white Christians, some of whom may have Jewish-sounding names that could mislead readers to a dangerous and very unfair conclusion. So let's restate for the record, the wagers of this war are a cabal of secularist, so-called humanist, trial lawyers, cultural relativists, and liberal, guilt-racked Christians, not just Jewish people. Muslims are not big players in this. Providing the legal muscle and pretzel logic to the anti-Christmas warriors are brand-name liberal institutions such as the ACLU, the Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith, and the Americans for the Separation of Church and State. Some institutional backers of the war on Christmas are Christian traditions such as the Unitarians and the United Church of Christ, who celebrate Jesus Christ's humanity and leave the room when discussion turns to his divinity. These are the churches that marry gays and turn their back on preborn babies. They are liberal by definition, and they proclaim their liberal values. In this book, I begin to connect the dots and discern the outlines of the conspiracy. So there you have it. You are guilty of being warriors against Christmas, whether you know it or not. Or are we? In fact, what you should know is that UUs were at the forefront of making Christmas celebratory again in the mid-1800s. Or as UU minister Nathan Deering stated in his sermon title only a few years ago, How Unitarians Saved Christmas. And I'm going to read from this for a bit. This kind of Christmas, the true Christmas that was only about Jesus or only about spiritual matters, never really existed. I hope this is freeing news for us. You don't have to feel guilty. Because in fact, Christmas over the centuries has always been a hodgepodge of celebration, merriment, giving presents, getting together with family and friends, buying frivolous decorations. Anyone seen the giant inflatable Santa? And a religious story. And this is probably not news. Many of the Christmas traditions we celebrate have their origins in the celebrations of the winter solstice. So a few facts before we get to our solstice-centered story this morning. Long before lights and cell phones and TVs illuminated our homes, the darkness and cold and retreating sun made many people depressed and even rather scared. So when the ancient people started to see the sun return after the shortest day of the year, these people celebrated the event with big dinners and singing and even exchanging gifts. Sound familiar? Some of the symbols of revelry are still with us. Holly and ivy wreaths decking the hall with greens. A tradition they also had is one we've maybe heard of, kissing under the mistletoe. Another fact, the early Christian church did not celebrate Jesus' birth at all. In other words, there were no Christmas Eve services and no pageants and no ministers trying to make sense of it all. Only over centuries, and only after these solstice feasts turned really wild and out of control, did Christmas seek to offer an alternative, calling it Christ Mass or Christmas. Another fact, nobody was as hard on Christmas as the Puritans. The folks who built the pews you are sitting in the church where he was speaking, who thought that Christmas wasn't biblical and Jesus wouldn't have approved of any birthday celebrations. They ordered shops to stay open on Christmas, banned holiday cakes and candles, and also managed to have the Massachusetts Congress declare Christmas illegal from 1659 to 1681. Bah, humbug. And last, some final acts to make us Unitarians feel good. Christmas, as we know it, didn't really get going until the mid-1800s and was largely because of one story, A Christmas Carol, written by Unitarian Charles Dickens. Another fact, how many of us have Christmas trees at home? Well, for that you can thank Charles Falk, minister of our Unitarian congregation in Lexington, Massachusetts, who introduced the idea of the Christmas tree to New England, a tradition that has German and pagan roots. And best of all, Unitarian James Pierpont wrote Jingle Bells. Unitarians also composed the tunes, I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. It came upon a midnight clear, and who can forget the night before Christmas? Well, that too was written by a Unitarian. Did Unitarians save Christmas? I think so. Our sense of Christmas traditions and commercial and the social can be kind of captured well by Dr. Seuss with his The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. Are we maybe, to some degree, a bunch of Grinches? Have we, over the long sweep of history, become less Christmassy in a traditional way and too accepting and promoting of celebrating non-traditional Christmas holidays? Here is what UU minister Miriam Naaman Sessions has to say about that. Throughout history, there have been Grinches on both sides of the Christmas controversy. I'm sure the Unitarians felt a little Grinchy toward the Puritans for trying to ban Christmas, just as Bill O'Reilly feels Grinchy about nativity scenes being removed from public property. I think it is important to ask the broad question, what makes someone a Grinch? Conservative news pundits would have us believe it is anyone who attempts to lessen the Christ in Christmas or the cultural practices that have come to be associated with the holiday. For example, Christmas music, lights, parties, decorations, gift giving, the list goes on. However, I think it's important to define Grinch more broadly. Since Seuss's Grinch is often being credited as being a critique of the consumerist aspects of the holiday season, readers can sometimes overlook the book's more important underlying theme, inclusiveness and the heart of community. Tolerance and a world community are principles Dr. Seuss promoted in much of his work, and these concepts resonate deeply with our UU principles. After all, the Grinch attempts to steal Christmas by taking all the presents, food decorations, even the Yule log, but is still unable to stop Christmas from coming. Why was Grinch unsuccessful? Because he misunderstood the Who's reason for the season: family, community, and goodwill. So I have to ask, are maybe the Christmas warriors a bunch of Grinches because they want to force their idea of the holiday on all of us? Or does our UU spirit of welcoming diversity and difference of opinions allow us to accept this point of view, even if we disagree with it, thus perhaps letting each other into let his or herself find joy as they wish in their idea of the holiday season. I think the secret to enjoying the holidays is finding a way to make them your own, to create your own special rituals and traditions, and to take ownership of them. It seems only fitting, to cite a Seussian rhyme. The true meaning of Christmas need be of no concern, for it is whatever we make it, each of it ourselves to discern. And I'm going to skip over a little stuff. As we enter the holiday, I'm sorry, I want to say one other thing. Here's a little book. It's called The First Christmas. The author of this book is with us today, Yashi Nozawa. And I want to read you, it's a great book. It's Yashi's journey as a young man leaving Japan and going to MIT, and about in learning this new culture, Christmas is one thing. So given what I just said about the true meaning need be of no concern, it is whatever we make it, each of ourselves to discern. Here's what Yashi says at one point. Our Constitution declares the separation of the state and religions. Since all states and the federal government consider Christmas as an official holiday, this implies that Christmas is not a religious holiday. This view was confirmed by a court. The court mentioned that the citizens had accepted Christmas as worldwide tradition that was not a part of the religion. It was judged to be secular and for all cultures and a worldwide event. So, this is Yashi, so fellow citizens, Christians, non-Christians, humanists, atheists, agnostics, freethinkers, or any other believers, enjoy and celebrate the winter solstice holiday, which can be called Christmas, Kwanzaa, or any other names. The celebration has a long tradition and global recognition. Yashi Nozawa. As we enter the holiday season, for all of us, whether young or old, we remember Christmases or holiday seasons past. We remember what was and look forward to what we hope will be coming. In fact, we work hard at times to do all we can to assure this. To help us with this trip down memory lane and end on a much lighter note, here are a few popular culture movie references to jog your memory. It's a Wonderful Life, Miracle on 34th Street, A Christmas Story, Love Actually, A Charlie Brown Christmas, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, Elf, Scrooged, The Muppet Christmas, National Lampoon's Christmas, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Or how about some songs? Little Drummer Boy, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas, Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, the Chipmunk Song, I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus, Do You Hear What I Hear, Santa Baby, Elvis's Blue Christmas, Bing Crosby's White Christmas, I'll Be Home for Christmas, A Holly Jolly Christmas, Bruce Springsteen, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Adam Sandler's Happy Hanukkah, and how about Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer? Or some Christmas carols. Away in a Manger, Deck the Halls with Boughs of Holly, Go Tell It on the Mountain, God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, It Came Upon the Midnight Clear, Jingle Bells, Joy to the World, O Come All Ye Faithful, O Little Town of Bethlehem, Silent Night, The First Noel, The 12 Days of Christmas, We Three Kings of Orient are, We Wish You a Merry Christmas. So, Christ out of Christmas? not in most of these songs heard widely during the holidays. Christmas season. And all of these movies, songs, and carols are reminders of many of us of seasons past. I suspect that if I had read these more slowly and given you time to reflect, many of us would remember fairly well these movies and the words to many of the songs and carols. The holiday season is definitely a reflective time, an end to the calendar year and getting ready to start a new one. To help you with this, let me close with this challenge. Get those chestnuts roasting by an open fire. Go in search of Jack Frost nipping at anyone's nose or folks dressed up like Eskimos. Whether it comes upon a midnight clear or do you hear what I hear? Whether merrily on high or decking the halls with boughs of holly. See if you can hear the bells on Christmas Day or jingle bells or sleigh bells or hark the herald angels sing. Whether in a one-horse open sleigh or tucked in your bed with visions of sugar plums dancing through your head. Go tell it on a mountain or have a silent night. Regardless, have yourself a merry little Christmas, or Happy Hanukkah, or Joyful Kwanzaa, or Seinfeld-influenced Festivus, or whatever you wish to celebrate and however you wish to do it. Oh yes, and may all your days be merry and bright. We'll turn now to our last hymn, number 118, This Little Light of Mine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. In our world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Yeah, please be seated. For closing words, I've chosen two things. I'm going to introduce the first one by just telling you a little bit about this person. Michael Gerson was George W. Bush's primary speechwriter, prominent conservative, evangelical Christian, and he died within the last month. I'm reading you something that he wrote because he's somebody who really struggled with depression. And the holiday season can be joyful, but it can be difficult. And this is Michael Gerson, someone even though my politics were much different, I had a lot of respect for him, and I invited him to do something at the University of Maryland when I was there, and he came. It was terrific. Even when strength fails, there is perseverance. And even when perseverance fails, there is hope. And even when hope fails, there is love. Love never fails. And then these words by Catherine McTeague. We come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment until we claim for ourselves awareness and gratitude, taking the time to look in one another's faces and see their communion, the reflection of our own eyes. This house of laughter and silence, memory and hope is hallowed by our presence together. Please remain seated while Jackie plays the prelude.
As possibly one of the only Jewish Buddhist Unitarian Universalists in the room, I am inspired to play something because of his sermon. Thank you, Bill. And this is for all of you. If anybody wants to sing along, please do.